Howdy y'all, I'm Rot Blitzkrieg, and this is my review of The Missing Link, the first piece of DLC for Deus Ex Human Revolution. It takes place between Adam departing from Hengsha on a boat, and his arrival at the Omega facility near the end of the game. Having been blown out of a building, Adam then climbs into a stasis pod inside a cargo container, about to be loaded onto a strange ship headed for an unknown destination. Adam apparently had some brain damage from the explosion and can't understand how unfathomably stupid this idea is. Cut to the next day, when a very nice lady is demonstrating to Adam just how much of a moron he actually is.
This ship is heading to a bell tower naval base, a military facility for the confinement and interrogation of unprivileged belligerents. And when we get there, we're going to take you apart.
To further complicate things, Adam has had all of his equipment taken and his augmentations completely shut off, leaving him virtually helpless. But his restraints are mysteriously released, and thus the expansion begins. From here, Adam must escape from his captors and find out where Megan is, as the boat isn't actually taking him to her. I suppose the idea for this DLC came about when someone at Eidos pointed out the giant plot hole of Adam climbing onto a random boat and just hoping that it takes him to Megan. First off, I like that this mini-campaign can be played separate from the main game. It's treated like a separate game entirely. This has the advantage of allowing players to access the DLC without having to get to a certain point in the main game, but it also allows the developers to create a very tight, focused level without needing to worry about the imbalance that would be created by a player's experience and equipment being carried over from the main game. As I said before, Adam has had his augmentations shut off. The player receives several praxis kits early on, and can find more as the level progresses, as well as earning them through experience. However, there aren't nearly enough in the area to get all of Adam's augmentations back, and so the player must choose very carefully where to place their praxis points. This is definitely a plus in my book. In the main game, the player became loaded down with praxis kits. Hell, by the end of my first playthrough, I was running out of augmentations I wanted to bother putting points into, and the praxis points started piling up. In The Missing Link, the player is forced to decide on a playstyle and stick with it, creating, in my opinion, an actual experience of character customization and choice that was sadly lacking in Human Revolution. The experience is what you've come to expect from Deus Ex. It's a story of intrigue and corporate greed, in which Adam tries to solve the mystery of the strange ship he stowed aboard and the facility at which it docks. The production values are very high, with great voice acting, excellent writing and characters, and large, well-designed environments. It also continues Human Revolution's theme of societal dilemmas, delving into corporate responsibility, personal morals, and ethical quandaries.
DARPA wasn't willing to go that far.
So this biotech company took the idea to bell tower.
A corporation that, being privately funded, doesn't have to concern itself with political or ethical debate.
The game also comments on your bloodthirsty nature, or lack thereof, several times, and brings more gravitas to it than Pritchard's offhanded comments.
Well, if it ain't the bloody Grim Reaper himself.
What are you talking about?
Christ almighty, lad. You got half the garrison shitting themselves and afraid you got on patrol.
On top of all that, it asks the question of how far someone should go to help others, and how far is too far, having Adam criticize others for their decisions, and confronting the player with a similar dilemma. It's not quite Sophie's choice, but it definitely left an emotional mark on me that had me questioning what I would do under similar circumstances. There are a few issues I have with the experience, though. Despite how much I like the story, it doesn't add anything gameplay-wise. It's the same shooting, sneaking, hacking experience as Human Revolution, and while it's definitely more of a good thing, I would have liked to have seen some improvement in that field. And the much-hyped boss battle doesn't count. While it's definitely an improvement over Human Revolution's boss battles, allowing the player to use all of their abilities and approach it how they wish to do so, it can barely be called a boss, and was incredibly underwhelming, especially since the build-up to the confrontation was well done. Still, these are fairly minor problems. This is a fantastic piece of DLC, one which actually has quite a bit of substance to it. Unlike some other pieces of DLC I could mention, it's a little steep for DLC at $15, but it's basically a mini expansion pack, and with such high production values, is definitely a good bang for your buck. If you have Human Revolution and you want more, definitely pick it up. I'm Rot Blitzkrieg, and until next time, Auf Wiedersehen.